Hello everybody, Fabian here, and thank you for joining me on an epic 5-part GamerThumbTV presentation of The Legend of Zelda. Since the early days of the NES, we've been playing as a young boy in a green tunic called Link, and saving the land of Hyrule from the forces of evil. Over the years, all the bits and pieces of the Legend of Zelda universe have been assembled into a timeline connecting all the dots. We're gonna go full nerd, in-depth, and explore the entire history of the magical kingdom of Hyrule, and its constant struggle against dark forces, including the unreleased Breath of the Wild. A couple of quick rules before we get started. The CDI games are out. Since they weren't developed by Nintendo and are not part of the official timeline, spin-offs like Hyrule Warriors and Link's Crossbow Training aren't in here either, since they were side games outside of the timeline. And lastly, the Skyward Sword prequel manga. Although not officially Zelda canon, we're gonna go ahead and include it, because it's a great story and does get acknowledged within the games. Welcome to The Legend of Zelda Timeline, Part 1, Creation of the Timeline. Now let's take a step back in time and go all the way back to the beginning, all the way back to the creation of the heavens and the world. In the beginning, before even time began, there was nothing but chaos. There was no kingdom of Hyrule, there was no earth. 3 goddesses descended from the heavens into this disorder. Din, the goddess of power, created the land and formed the earth, while Nehru, the goddess of wisdom, created order and the natural laws of the world. And Furor, the goddess of courage, created all of the life forms that would inhabit it. Before ascending back into the heavens, the 3 goddesses created the Triforce to represent them on Earth and left it behind. The 3 pieces of the Triforce symbolize power, courage, and wisdom, and it grants a wish to whomever touches it. If it's touched by someone that doesn't have a balance of all 3 of these virtues, it'll separate into 3 pieces. The one who touched it keeps the piece that personifies what they value the most. The other 2 pieces appear on the hands of 2 other individuals chosen by the goddesses, and the only way to gain true power is to reunite all 3 pieces. It's unknown why they left the Triforce behind, but it was left in the care of a 4th goddess known as Hylia. As time passed, a demon army arrived in the land of Hylia in pursuit of the Triforce. Their king, Demise, wanted absolute power and would stop at nothing to achieve it, even if he had to destroy the people that lived here. The citizens of Hylia knew the Demon King and his army were on the way, and looked to a young knight to protect them. A young knight that was known for his strength and the love he had for his land. His name? Link. He vowed to protect the people and fight the demons. Recognizing his courage, the goddess Hylia came down from the heavens and gave him a sword forged for the gods that had the power to repel evil. This goddess sword would eventually be known as the Master Sword. However, the only way a human would be able to use the sword would be to break it down and have it reforged by human hands. Link broke the sword and had it melted down, then restored, while the goddess held back Demise and his demon hordes. Link became its master and the only person who can wield it. For 7 days and 7 nights, the demons ravaged the world, while the humans of the land of Hylia, working together with the other races that live there, fought back. Link made his way to the Demon King and faced him in combat, only to be wounded. Hylia realized the demon army was too powerful and decided the only way to protect her people and the Triforce was to move everybody and a portion of the land into the sky where Demise couldn't reach. The citizens gathered at the castle as it was sent into the sky. Link stayed behind and used the goddess sword's power to ensure that it would become a pillar between the heavens and the land below. The goddess sword, Triforce, and the people of Hylia were now safe and hidden, and Link collapsed from his blood loss. The wound he suffered earlier was severe, and he would not survive it. Hylia couldn't destroy Demise, but was able to seal him away, in the spot where the land was sent into the sky. A temple was built over the seal, and Impa of the Sheikah tribe, one of the tribes that served the goddess directly, was put in charge of protecting that seal. And do you ever wonder why Link and Zelda seem to meet each other for the first time across different games? Or why they don't look exactly the same every time? Or why in one game Link is an orphan raised in a forest, while in another he lives with his grandmother and sister on an island? Well, most Link and Zeldas are different people, yet aren't at the same time. Confusing, right? Well, let's clear that up real quick. After sealing Demise away, Hylia found Link's lifeless body, and humbled by his sacrifice, she decided to leave her godhood behind and return as a mortal woman among her people. She also made sure that her spirit and Link's spirit would live on forever, and return to the world anytime it was in danger. So through the ages, the spirit of the original Link, the spirit of the hero, would awaken inside a new young man when the world needed him the most. And the spirit of the goddess Hylia would return in the form of a new Zelda along with him. Thousands of years pass, and this takes us to the events of The Legend of Zelda: Skyward Sword. The pieces of land that were sent into the sky are now floating islands the humans call Skyloft, and a thick barrier of clouds keep the surface world down below and Skyloft separated. The humans who now live here established an order of knights that fly the loftwing birds given to them by Hylia in order to keep the populace safe. And over the years, the story of the goddess Hylia and her battle with the demon king Demise has mostly been forgotten and is considered just legend. Down below on the surface world, the seal that had trapped Demise began to weaken, and during this time a human girl was born on Skyloft called Zelda, who was the goddess Hylia reborn, even though she wasn't aware of it just yet. A boy was also born called Link, who had inherited the spirit of the original Link, Hylia's chosen hero, who had died so his people could escape to the sky. Link wasn't aware of this either, and had yet to awaken the unbreakable spirit of the hero inside of him. Link and Zelda grew up together on Skyloft and were extremely close, and now that the Seal of Demise was growing even weaker, he sent his follower Girahim onto the surface with a horde of demons. His mission was to find the goddess and resurrect the Demon King back into the world. After discovering Zelda's location, Girahim produced a tornado and forced her down to the surface as Link watched helplessly. After she landed in the world below, she was rescued by an old woman. This old woman was Impa, the member of the Sheikah tribe that was appointed thousands of years ago to protect the seal holding Demise. Impa tells Zelda that she is the living embodiment of Hylia and needs to cleanse herself in the temples of the sky and earth. After praying in the two temples, Zelda regained her powers and memories as the goddess. She realized the only way to strengthen the seal was to travel back into the ancient past, when the seal was at its strongest, by using the Gate of Time in the desert. Up on Skyloft, Link was guided inside the statue of the goddess, and found none other than the goddess sword waiting inside. The sword handed down to the original hero by Hylia thousands of years ago. The spirit of the sword Fi became Link's partner and guide as she helped him get down to the surface world in order to find Zelda and rescue her. Before Zelda and Impa were able to travel back in time, Girahim found them, and Link showed up just in time to challenge him. While Link battled Girahim, they went into the past after destroying the Gate of Time behind them. And after fighting Girahim off, Link discovered a second Gate of Time he could use to meet with Zelda in the past. However, the gate was broken, and the only way he could restore it was to strike at it with the full power of the goddess sword. And after many trials, Link absorbed the three sacred flames of the goddesses that created the world into the goddess sword, and it transformed into the Master Sword, the legendary sword destined to slay evil time and time again. With a fully powered sword, Link activated the gate and went to the past, meeting up with Zelda and Impa. Zelda told Link she would stay behind in the past and slumber for thousands of years, in an attempt to keep the seal from breaking as long as possible. The Triforce appeared on Link's hand, proving that he is the chosen hero, and he alone could destroy the evil that the seal was holding back. At this point, Link traveled back to his time and found the legendary Triforce, created by the goddesses and hidden away in the sacred realm. a spiritual realm created by the goddesses where the Triforce was stored. With the hero's spirit finally awakened within him, Link had the perfect balance of power, wisdom, and courage, which allowed him to use the Triforce to make a wish. Link wished for the destruction of Demise and the Isle of the Goddess. Holding the Triforce in Skyloft, fell back down to the surface, destroying Demise in the process. No longer needing to keep the seal closed, Zelda finally woke up after being asleep for thousands of years. Girahim, enraged that his master was destroyed in the present time, kidnapped Zelda and used the Gate of Time to resurrect his master in the past, releasing him from his seal. Link followed and witnessed the resurrection of the Demon King, and Girahim revealed himself as the evil spirit that resides in his sword. Link and Demise finally came face to face in combat, and after an epic battle, Link defeated the Demon King. And with his last words, Demise promised that his hatred could never be destroyed. He swore it would return in a new form for all time, and those who share the blood of the goddess and the spirit of the hero will be forever cursed to face it. Link and Zelda returned to their time, and Zelda decided to remain on the surface and protect the Triforce. Link hid the Master Sword away to rest until the time another hero needed to rise up and reclaim it once again, and the Kingdom of Hyrule was established. Over time, the residents of Skyloft would migrate down into Hyrule, and the kingdom would flourish, with Zelda's descendants being the royal family of Hyrule. This ends the story of Skyward Sword. Time passes, and after years of peace, chaos breaks out into the land of Hyrule for the first time since it was founded. Stories of the Triforce and its power spread through the land, and so did the greed of men. After many wars were fought to gain control of the Triforce, Rauru, the Sage of Light and protector of the Triforce, decided it was best to seal the entrance to the sacred realm where the Triforce resided. Rauru built the Temple of Time over the only known entrance to the sacred realm, and hid the Master Sword inside behind the Door of Time. The Triforce was safely hidden away once again, and the sacred realm was completely isolated from Hyrule, putting an end to this era of chaos. The only way to reopen the door would be to reunite the three stones that served as the keys to the door, the spiritual stones of forest, fire, and water, which were now under the protection of the different races of Hyrule. Sometime after this, the land was once again attacked by evil beings wanting to destroy it. This major event gave rise to the legend of the Hero of Men, another incarnation of Link, whose story is yet to be fully explored. The legend stated that a tiny being called a Pickery came down from the sky with a golden light known as the Light Force, which was a source of infinite power from the heavens. The Pickery also gave the hero a sword to help destroy the darkness that was taking over the world. The Hero of Men used the sword to seal away the evil within an artifact called the Bound Chest, and peace came to Hyrule. The royal family of Hyrule became protectors of the sword known as the Pickery Blade, and also kept the existence of the Pickery homeland, also called the Minish Realm, a secret. In gratitude to the Pickery for their help, the Kingdom of Hyrule decided to hold a yearly festival to honor them. And this leads us to the events of The Legend of Zelda, the Minish Cap. Hyrule is getting ready to celebrate its 100th Pickery Festival, and the new incarnation of Link in this time is the apprentice of the local blacksmith, and the new incarnation of Princess Zelda is his childhood friend. Together they head off to the festival where the Pickery Blade and the Bound Chest, which the Hero of Men used to seal away the evil, would be on display for the entire kingdom to see. And as history would have it, anytime Link and Zelda would appear, trouble was brewing behind the scenes. During the festival, a mysterious man appeared called Vaati, who happened to be an evil sorcerer bent on taking the power of the Light Force for himself. Falsely believing it was inside the Bound Chest, he broke the Pickery Blade, and the evil that was contained inside poured out into the world. Worried that Zelda would get in his way, Vaati turned her to stone and headed off in search of the Light Force. The only thing that could restore Zelda back to normal was the power of the Pickery Blade, and the only ones who could fix it were the Pickery, also known as the Minish. And since the Minish could only be seen by children, Link was chosen by the King of Hyrule to find and enter the Minish Realm in order to repair the sword. With the broken Pickery blade in hand and a sword from the blacksmith, Link set off to find the entrance to their world, and on the way Link met Ezlo, who resembled the cap that the hero of legend always wore. Ezlo revealed to Link that he was once a Minish sage, and the evil sorcerer Vati was once his loyal apprentice. Ezlo had made a cap called the Mage's Cap, which was meant to be a gift for the humans of Hyrule. The Mage's Cap had the power to grant the wish of its wearer. Consumed with greed, Vati put on the cap and used it to gain his dark powers and cursed his master Ezlo by turning him into the shape of a cap. Teaming up with Link, Ezlo showed him how to get to the portal to the Minish realm. Link found the portal and he shrunk down to the tiny size of the Pickery people. In the Minish village, he discovered how to restore the sacred power of the Pickery blade. He had to find 4 crystal elements around the world, representing earth, fire, water, and wind, then place them on the pedestal in the elemental sanctuary. This sanctuary was located within the Garden of Hyrule, but could not be seen by human adults. While Link searched for the 4 elements, Vati took control of the king and forced him to order his soldiers to search for the Light Force. He also discovered that the path to the Light Force would only open once the Pickery blade was restored. Knowing that Link was restoring the blade, Vati planned to allow him to complete his quest so he can take the elements from him. After successfully collecting the 4 elements, Link placed the Pickery blade on the pedestal in the elemental sanctuary and infused it with their power, with the Pickery blade transformed into the Four Sword. Which gave whoever was holding it the ability to split into 4 identical copies of themselves. After gaining the Four Sword, it was revealed that the Light Force wasn't located in any physical location. It was hidden within Princess Zelda, generation after generation. Secretly following Link, Vati overheard this, took Zelda to the roof of the castle, and began to steal the Light Force from her body. Link interrupted the ritual, but Vati had gained enough power to transform into a monstrous new form. Wielding the fully powered Four Sword, Link defeated Vati as Hyrule Castle came crashing down around them. Princess Zelda was restored back to normal, and Ezlo returned to his original form. Ezlo presented Zelda with the Mage's Cap, and she used its power to undo all the damage that Vati had done. Ezlo also gave Link a green hat before returning to the Minish village, and this Link earned his place in the ongoing legend of the hero, ending the story of the Minish Cap. But this isn't the last time Vati would be seen. After the time of Link from the Minish Cap, Vati reappeared with no memory of his life as a Pickery, and went on a rampage in the Kingdom of Hyrule. He kidnapped young girls from several villages, and another young hero appeared to challenge him. Not much is known about this hero, but he is believed to be a descendant of Minish Cap Link, and another incarnation of the legendary hero. Carrying the Four Sword, he used its power to absorb the evil sorcerer within the sword, rescuing the girls and earning the title of Hero of the Four Sword. He took the sword and sealed it in the elemental sanctuary, then disappeared into the forest as his legend spread. For generations after this, Princess Zelda and her descendants looked after the Four Sword, but eventually the seal imprisoning Vati would weaken. This leads us to the Legend of Zelda: Four Swords. A new Link and Zelda visit the sanctuary where Vati is imprisoned, and the seal finally breaks, releasing him. Enraged, he kidnapped Zelda and took her to a palace of his own, called the Palace of Winds. After seeing Zelda get taken, a fairy appeared to Link and told him to take the Four Sword. Link took the sword and was told he had to prove his courage by fighting his way through the 3 regions protected by the fairies. After proving himself, the fairies gave Link the keys to the Palace of the Winds, and Vati came face to face with a young hero clad in green once again. Link successfully sealed Vati into the Four Sword and placed the sword back into the sanctuary, causing Zelda and the people of Hyrule to keep an even stricter watch on the seal from here on out. This ends the story of Four Swords. Many ages passed and Hyrule fell into civil war. The most important era in the long history of Hyrule was coming, and the promised demise made so long ago during the events of Skyward Sword were about to come true. In the desert region of Hyrule, a tribe of female desert thieves lived. The first male baby in 100 years was born, and he was named Ganondorf Dragmire. Destined to become the king of his people, Ganondorf was the evil that Demise promised would return, to haunt the land time and time again. During the Civil War, a young mother was mortally wounded and escaped to the Kokiri forest with her baby, named Link. The Great Deku Tree, the guardian of the forest, sensed that this baby was a child of destiny. Before dying, Link's mother left him to be raised with the other Kokiri who lived in the forest. As Link grew up in the forest, the King of Hyrule brought the civil war to an end, uniting the kingdom under one banner, and Ganondorf, leader of the Gerudo tribe, worked to gain the king's trust. This leads us to the events of The Legend of Zelda, the Ocarina of Time. The Great Deku Tree summoned Link, now 10 years old, and provided him with a fairy companion called Navi to help guide him. The tree sensed that darkness was coming to Hyrule, and knew Link was the hero that was born to stop it. But Ganondorf had placed a curse on the tree, and it was dying. Link entered the tree and came face to face with Queen Goma, an evil parasite that was feeding from the tree's life force. Link slayed the creature, but it was too late. The Great Deku Tree was dying, but Link had proven his courage, so he gave Link one of the spiritual stones necessary to open the door in the Temple of Time, which housed the Master Sword. Link was told to go find Princess Zelda, and the Great Deku Tree that had watched over him as a child passed away. After finding Zelda and meeting her for the first time, she tells Link that she doesn't trust Ganondorf, who's been attempting to gain the trust of her father, the king. She's been having dreams of him searching for the Triforce to destroy the world. But her father doesn't believe Ganondorf is a dangerous man, so Zelda and her guardian Impa of the Sheikah tribe took it upon themselves to keep an eye on him closely. Zelda realized she had to find the entrance to the Sacred Realm and use the Triforce before Ganondorf was able to find it, and sent Link to go find the other two stones. While Link was gathering the stones, Ganondorf launched an attack on Hyrule Castle in an attempt to steal the Ocarina of Time, one of the keys to the Sacred Realm. On the way back, Link saw Zelda escaping with Impa, and she tossed the Ocarina of Time to him to keep it away from Ganondorf. Link found his way to the Temple of Time and used the Ocarina of Time and the 3 spiritual stones to unlock the Door of Time. And finally, standing before the Master Sword, Link pulled it from the pedestal and was transported to the Sacred Realm. Although he was destined to wield the Sacred Blade, the Master Sword determined he wasn't old enough yet, and it sealed him in the Sacred Realm, where he slept for 7 years. While Link was asleep, Ganondorf made his way into the Sacred Realm and discovered the Triforce had separated. The Triforce of Courage and the Triforce of Wisdom had left, in search of the 2 people meant to wield them. The only one left was the Triforce of Power, which Ganondorf used to gain dark abilities, and he became the Demon King. Ganondorf returned to Hyrule and took over effortlessly, destroying most of the land and transforming Hyrule Castle into a twisted version of itself. Zelda went into hiding by disguising herself as a boy from the Sheikah tribe called Sheik, and the Master Sword waited for Link to grow up. The Sage of Light Rauru, who originally built the Temple of Time sometime after Skyward Sword, watched over Link until his awakening. 7 years passed, and Link woke up at the age of 17, to a world he didn't recognize. Ganondorf had taken everything good in the world and turned it into a wasteland. Zelda, disguised as Sheik, informed Link that he had to find 5 ancient temples that Ganondorf had cursed, and awaken the sages within. Rauru, the Sage of Light, wasn't powerful enough to help on his own. With each sage that Link awakened, he received a medallion that gave him even greater power each time. Eventually, Link restored all 5 sages, and Zelda revealed herself as the leader of the sages, whose power Link needed to match Ganondorf. Realizing that Link was the holder of the Triforce of Courage, and Zelda was the holder of the Triforce of Wisdom, Ganondorf kidnapped Zelda and took her to his castle to lure Link there. With all 3 pieces together, Ganondorf would be able to gain ultimate power after extracting the other 2. Link, fully powered by the sages and equipped with a Master Sword, faced Ganondorf. He struck him down and escaped with Zelda while the castle collapsed around them. However, Ganondorf survived. and realizing he underestimated Link's power, unleashed his full power and became the Demon King, Ganon. This is the moment that Link had prepared for. After a fierce battle, Princess Zelda used most of her power to hold down Ganon, while Link delivered the final blow with the Master Sword. The six sages combined their powers and sealed Ganon away inside the Sacred Realm, along with the Triforce of Power. The greatest evil Hyrule had ever seen was finally gone. With his destiny fulfilled, Link handed the Ocarina of Time back to Zelda. And feeling guilty that Link had to sacrifice 7 years of his life and his entire childhood, Zelda sent him back in time to just before they met, so Link can enjoy the time he missed. This one act of compassion by Zelda had permanent ramifications for the future of Hyrule and unintentionally split its history into multiple directions, closing off the events of the Ocarina of Time. And join me next time as we discover what happens when Link returns to his childhood, armed with the knowledge he has of the future, in the Legend of Zelda Timeline Part 2, Back to the Past.